Book of Second Chronicles, chapter 9, verse 29. Now the rest of the acts of Solomon, first and last, are they not written in the book of Nathan the prophet, and in the prophecy of Ahijah the Shalamah, and in the visions of Iddo, the seer against Jeroboam, the son of Nebat? And Solomon reigned in Jerusalem over all Israel 40 years.
Right. So that's what scripture right there let you know that Solomon, it's proof that Solomon ruled for 40 years over all Israel. Second Chronicles 9, 29, 30. Now also get First Chronicles 29, 26. First Chronicles 29, 26.
First Chronicles, chapter 49, verse 26. Thus David, the son of Jesse, reigned over all Israel. And the time that he reigned over Israel was 40 years. 70 years reigned he in Hebron, and 33 years reigned he in Jerusalem.
Right. So David also 40 years. So Solomon, David, and Saul all ruled 40 years each. So that makes 120 years. Okay. So if you add 933 BC to 120 years, then we can backtrack to see when Saul, right? You got it right close, right? I guess I got this.
The book of Acts, chapter 13, verse 21. And afterward they desired a king. And the Most High gave unto them Saul, the son of Cis, a man of the tribe of Benjamin, by the space of 40 years.
Right, see that? So Saul reigned for 40 years also. So Solomon, David, and Saul all ruled for 40 years each. So total of 120. Okay? So Solomon died in 933 BC. Those 120 years to 933 BC, what we get? Then we can see that's when we first had a king. 933 plus 120. That's 1053. 1053. So that's when 1053 BC is when our first king. 1053 BC. So prior to that, what we have? We had judges. We had judges. Okay, so we know we were in Egypt in 1880. We were there for 430 years. So 1880 minus 430. That means we came out of Egypt 1450 BC. Came out of Egypt 1450 BC approximately. Okay? So if you came out of Egypt in 1450 BC, you were in the wilderness for 40 years. So subtract 40 and 40 from that. Okay, that means we went into the homeland 1410. That's when we went to the homeland. So we went to the homeland 1410. Understand? 1410. And we know we had 1410 went to the homeland, and from that point on we had kings. I'm sorry, we had judges ruling over us. And we had our first king with 1053 BC. So 1410 minus 1053. Right, so 1410 is when we went into the homeland, and we had our first king at 1053 BC. Understand? So that means that from subtract 1053 from 1410, you get 357 years. That's how many. How long we were ruled by judges before we became jealous of the heathens around us. That's the most I give us a king. 357 years, approximately. We were ruled by judges. Understand? And through the process of time, we kept clocking. For a certain point of time, we were righteous. We were righteous. And for a certain point of time, we were wicked. And every time we were wicked, what did the Most High do? The Most High sent the nations. Sent the nations round about us to put us in captivity. First of all, the Most High. First of all, when the Most High gave us commandment to go into the land of Canaan and destroy all the other nations, destroy all the other nations. You read about that in Deuteronomy 7, chapter 7. We destroyed most of them, but there were a remnant of them. The Most High left them to try us, to see if we're going to hold fast to His ways and keep His commandments. Plus, there were a remnant of them who were slick and tricked us into signing a covenant with them. It's putting them into captivity. Pay tribute to us instead of us destroying them totally. Okay, so there were a remnant of the Canaanites who left there, plus the other nations round about. But the Most High sinned against us, so put us in captivity at the various time. Now let's get Judges chapter 3, verse 3.
The book of Judges, chapter 3, verse 3. Namely, 5 lords of the Philistines, and all the Canaanites, and the Sidonians, and the Hivites that dwelt in Mount Lebanon, from Mount Baal Hermon unto the entering in of month. And they were to prove Israel by them, to know whether they would hearken unto the commandments of the Most High, which He commanded their fathers by the hand of Moses.
See that the Most High left so the Canaanites and the Philistines, Sidonians and the Hivites that dwelt in Mount Lebanon, from Mount Baal Hermon unto the entering of the Hamath. So the regions round about the Most High, these heathens and Canaanites that who were round about Israel to try out to see if we were going to keep the Most High's commandments or follow the ways of the other nations. Right?
Verse 5. And the children of Israel dwelt among the Canaanites, Hittites, and Amorites, and Perizzites, and Hivites, and Jebusites.
Yeah, these very same nation that the Most High commanded us to destroy. Say we would not follow their way. We shouldn't give our daughters to their men, to their sons, and our sons to their daughters. Because it would take us away from the Most High and have us worshiping their gods. Right?
And they took their daughters to be their wives, and gave their daughters to their sons, and served other powers.
So Israel did exactly what the Most High forbade them to do. The Most High told them not to do that. But Israel ended up doing it anyway. That what? That made the Most High angry. Right?
And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Most High, and forget the Most High their power, and served Baalim and the groves. Therefore the anger of the Most High was hot against Israel, and He sold them into the hand of Cushan Rishathaim, king of Mesopotamia. And the children of Israel served Cushan Rishathaim 8 years.
Right. So because of our disobedience to the Most High and us following the ways of the other nations, not keeping the Most High's commandments, the Most High had to serve these Cushites. I mean, serve all these Cushites from Mesopotamia, the Canaanites and all that. For 8 years. Over 8 years, they were ruling over us, right?
And when the children of Israel cried unto the Most High, the Most High raised up a deliverer to the children of Israel, who delivered them, even Othniel, the son of Kenaz, Caleb's younger brother. And the Spirit of the Most High came upon him, and he judged Israel, and went out to war. And the Most High delivered Cushan, Rishathaim, king of Mesopotamia, into his hand. And his hand prevailed against Cushan, Rishathaim, and the land had rest 40 years.
Right, see that? So the Cushites ruled over us for 8 years. We cried unto the Most High because of the oppression, and the Most High respected unto us and raised up, a warrior, the son of Caleb's younger brother, to deliver us out of the hands of the Cushites. Okay, and then Israel we had rest for 40 years, 40 years without the other nations ruling over us. So, as I read on, we're going to see that at various times. I mean, we had rest, right by the Most High, keep the Most High's commandments more or less. And then we disobey the Most High will send raise up one of the nations run about us and put us in captivity as a punishment. That's how the Most High works. When we don't want to obey Him, what do they do? When we don't want the Most High to rule over us, what do they do? The heathens rule over us instead. Somebody's going to rule over you. Either you choose me or the heathen. Go ahead.
Book of Hosea, chapter 6, verse 4. O Ephraim, what shall I do unto thee? O Judah, what shall I do unto thee? For your goodness is as a morning cloud. It has the early dew, it goeth away.
Right, see that? Well, Ephraim, we're talking about the divided kingdom now. Ephraim was the tribe that ruled the northern kingdom after the Solomon, and Judah, the tribe that ruled the southern kingdom. After that, after the kingdom was split. So the Most High says they like the righteousness like the morning dew. The morning dew is there in the morning, but as soon as the sun starts coming up, it disappears. So it's never permanent. It doesn't last for a long time. That's how Israel is. That's how our righteousness and our obedience to the Most High is. For a while we obey the Most High when it's going on good, but as soon as everything is wonderful again, we start rebelling against the Most High. The more that, go back to Judges chapter 3 verse 12.
The book of Judges, chapter 3, verse 12. And the children of Israel did evil again in the sight of the Most High. And the Most High strengthened Eglon, the king of Moab, against Israel, because they had done evil in the sight of the Most High. And he gathered unto him the children of Ammon and Amalek, and went and smote Israel, and possessed the city of palm trees.
See, just like that. After 40 years of rest, Israel did evil again in the sight of the Most High. And then the Most High did what? Strengthened Eglon, the king of Moab, against Israel. And Moab gathered Ammon. Moab and Ammon, their brothers. You know what I mean? Moab being the so-called Chinese, Ammon being the so-called Japanese, and we know Amalek. And they went and smote Israel and possessed the city of the trees. So that's another. Immediately after 40 years, Israel did even in the sight of the Most High. The Most High raised up those nations and put us in captivity again. Read. All this is within the 350 years period when we had judges ruling over us. Read.
Verse 14. So the children of Israel served Eglon, the king of Moab, 18 years. But when the children of Israel cried unto the Most High, the Most High raised them up a deliverer, Ehud, the son of Gera, a Benjamite, a man left-handed, and by him the children of Israel sent a present unto Eglon, the king of Moab. But Ehud made him a dagger, which had 2 edges of a cubit length, and he did gird it under his raiment upon his right thigh. And he brought the present unto Eglon, king of Moab. And Eglon was a very fat man. And when he had made an end to offer the present, he sent away the people that bare the present. But he himself turned again from the quarries that were by Gilgal, and said, I have a secret errand unto thee, O king. Who said, keep silence. And all that stood by him went out from him. And Ehud came unto him, and he was sitting in a summer parlor, which he had for himself alone. And Ehud said, I have a message from the Most High unto thee. And he arose out of his seat. And Ehud put forth his left hand, and took the dagger from his right thigh, and thrust it into his belly. And half also went after the blade, and the fat closed up upon the blade.
So Ehud slew the king of Moab. Jump to verse 26. So he's present from the Most High.
And Ehud escaped while they tarried, and passed beyond the quarries, and escaped unto Siraph.
Right, so real warrior there. He done an escape before, before he slew this fat king. Moab probably eating all dog food and all that, dog and all that. Cats and dogs and all the abominable food and back then. That thing was all fat. He's so fat the night just sucked the knife right in his gut. And then Ehud, as a warrior that he was, just escaped while everyone tarried. Because no one suspected him. No one even knew he was there. Now jump to verse 30.
Verse 30. So Moab was subdued that day under the hand of Israel, and the land had rest 80 years.
Right. What's a score? What's a score? The land had rest 80 years. What's a score? A score is 20 years. So the land had rest 4 scores. So 4 times 20, that's 80 years. Okay, so we had peace. The nations bothering us for 80 years after we took down, we rebelled against the Moabites who were ruling over us. The Most High gave us peace for 80 years. Understand? And now that's the Moabite captivity. They ruled over us for 18 years, and then we rebelled against them. The Most High rose us up to rebel against them, and then the Most High gave us peace for 80 years. Now just jump to Judges 4:20, Judges 4 verse 2.
The book of Judges, chapter 4, verse 1. And the children of Israel again did evil in the sight of the Most High, when Ehud was dead. And the Most High sold them into the hand of Jabin, king of Canaan, that reigned in Hazar, the captain of whose host was in Sisera, which dwelt in Harosheth of the Gentiles. And the children of Israel cried unto the Most High, for he had 900 chariots of iron, and 20 years he mightily oppressed the children of Israel. And Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lapitoth, she judged Israel at that time. And she dwelt under the palm tree of Deborah between Ramah and Bethel and Mount Ephraim. And the children of Israel came up to her for judgment. And she sent and called Barak, the son of Abinadab, out of Kadesh Naphtali, and said unto him, Hath not the Most High power of Israel, commanded, saying, Go and draw toward Mount Tabor, and take with thee 10,000 men of the children of Naphtali, and out of the tribe of Zebulun. And I will draw unto thee to the river of Kishon Sisera, the captain of Jabin's army, with his chariots and his multitude, and I will deliver him into thine hand.
Now go to verse 22. Jump to 22.
Verse 22. And behold, as Barak pursued Sisera, Jael came out to meet him, and said unto him, Come, I will show thee the man thou seekest. And when he came into her tent, behold, Sisera lay dead, and the nail was in his temples. So the Most High subdued on that day.
Let's see how this is. Go back to verse 17. Let's see how she killed him.
Verse 17, book of Judges, chapter 4, verse 17. Howbeit Sisera fled away on his feet to the tent of Jael, the wife of Heber the Kenite. For there was peace between Jabin, the king of Hazor, and the house of Heber the Kenite. And Jael went out to meet Sisera, and said unto him, Turn in, my idle one, turn in to me, fear not. And when he had turned in unto her into the tent, she covered him with a mantle. And he said unto her, Give me, I pray thee, a little water to drink, for I am thirsty. And she opened a bottle of milk, and gave him drink, and covered him. And he said unto her, Stand in the door of the tent. And it shall be, when any man doeth come and inquire of thee, and say, Is there any man here? Thou shalt say no. And Jael, Heber's wife, took a nail out of the tent, and took a hammer in her hand, and went softly unto him, and smote the nail into his temples, and fastened it into the ground. For he was fast asleep and weary, so he died. And behold, as Barak pursued Sisera, Jael came out to meet him, and said unto him, Come, I will show thee the man whom thou seekest. And when he came into her tent, behold, Sisera lay dead, and a nail was in his temples. So the Most High subdued on that day Jabin, the king of Canaan, before the children of Israel.
Right. So that's how the Most High delivered us from the Canaanites. Okay. Jump to verse 31. Chapter 5, verse 31.
The book of Judges, chapter 5, verse
Chapter 5, verse 31.
31. So let all thine enemies perish, O idle one. But let them that love thee, that love him, be as a sun when he goeth forth in his might. And the land had rest 40 years.
Right. So we're going over the various captivities that Israel was under the nation, starting with the captivity in Egypt, which we were in for 400 years. Well, we came out of Egypt. Came out of Egypt in 1450, and then we were in the wilderness for 40 years, which means we entered our promised land in 1410. Understand, 1410, and we did a calculation based at the time of Solomon's death and the rulership of the three kings before him, which was Solomon, including Solomon, David, and Saul, 120 years. So we calculated that we were we were ruled by judges for 357 years. 357 years, and during that 357-year period, there were occasions where we were ruled by other nations because of our disobedience. We were enslaved by other nations. Understand? And I'm going over various captivities and enslavement which Israel was under by the hands of these other nations because of our disobedience. And in between the slavery by these other nations, we had periods of time where we had extensive peace, quiet. I mean, tranquility. Where Israel was, they dwelled in harmony amongst each other, giving thanks and praise to the Most High Yahweh Basham Gawashai. Okay, so we just read right there the Canaanite, the captivity of the Canaanite, the same Canaanites that we were supposed to destroy, but because hey, disobedience, so not or lack of faith in the Most High, we did exactly what the Most High told us not to do: give our daughters to their sons and our sons to their daughters, and then turn around worshiping the gods of the other nations. Okay, so the next captivity we're going to read about is the Midianites. Let's go to Judges chapter 6, chapter 6, verse 1.
The book of Judges, chapter 6, verse 1. And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Most High. And the Most High delivered them into the hand of Midian 7 years. And the hand of Midian prevailed against Israel. And because of the Midianites, the children of Israel made them the dens which are in the mountains, and caves and strongholds. And so it was, when Israel had sown, that the Midianites came up, and the Amalekites, and the children of the east, even they came up against them. And they encamped against them, and destroyed the increase of the earth, till thou come unto Gaza, and left no sustenance for Israel, neither sheep, nor ox, nor donkey. For they came up with their cattle, their tents, and they came as grasshoppers, for multitude. For both they and their camels were without number, and they entered into the land to destroy it. And Israel was greatly impoverished because of the Midianites. And the children of Israel cried unto the Most High. And it came to pass, when the children of Israel cried unto the Most High, because of the Midianites, that the Most High sent a prophet unto the children of Israel, which said unto them, Thus saith the Most High power of Israel, I brought you up from Egypt and brought you forth out of the house of bondage. And I delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians, and out of the hand of all that oppressed you, and drave them out from before you, and gave you their land. And I said unto you, I am the out of one your power. Fear not the gods of the Amorites, in whose land ye dwell, for ye have not obeyed my voice. And there came an angel of the Most High.
Well, jump to chapter 7, verse 7. See right there? Go ahead, bro. No, the Midianites were actually from Ishmael. Yeah, they were Ishmael. Right. Just like when Moab was taking the leadership to fight against Israel, they they went to Ammon, and I think they went to Amalek also. So Amalek was basically the hatred that they had for Israel, even when it's coming to Egypt. This is going after Egypt. This is after Egypt. This is while we were in our homeland. Now this is about the fourth or so captivity. About the fourth. We had before that we had the first one was Egypt, then we had the Cushites, the so-called Ethiopians, then they had the Moab, so-called Chinese, with the help of the Ammonites, the so-called Japanese, because they were brothers, and they had a unity right there. And then we had also the Canaanites, which were the remnant of the people who was still left in the land, who we didn't destroy like we were supposed to. So the Most had had them left back to try us, and we did exactly what we were supposed to do. We mingled with them, understand? But and they saw our weakness and how because they saw our weakness and they remembered what we did to their people anyway. So of course they were looking to take revenge and to put us in captivity. Understand? And of course, the Most High, we cried unto the Most High for the oppression. The Most High had mercy on us, and delivered us out of the captivity. We had rest for a long time. We had rest for 40 years from the Canaanites. Now the Midianites, now so-called Arabs, so the lineage of Ishmael. Yeah, one of the son from Ishmael. Yeah, I understand, from the same lineage. From God. Now, let's get Judges 7, verse 7.
The book of Judges, chapter 7, verse 7. And the Most High said unto Gideon, by the 300 men that lapped will I save you, and deliver the Midianites into thine hand. And let all the other people go, every man unto his place. So the people took victuals in their hand, and their trumpets. And he sent all the rest of Israel, every man unto his tent, and retained those 300 men. And the host of Midian was beneath him in a valley. And it came to pass that same night that the Most High said unto him, arise, get thee down unto the host, for I have delivered it into thine hand.
Right, so the Most High chose 300 men. The Most High told Gideon, the characteristics and mannerism of these 300 men that he should choose. And the rest, those who didn't exhibit those behavior, send them back. Those are not the ones I'm choosing. I'm sending these three particular men to join with you to go to battle the Midianites. Now jump to verse 14.
Book of Judges, chapter 7, verse 14. And his fellow answered and said, this is nothing else save the sword of Gideon, the son of Joash, a man of Israel. For into his hand hath the Most High delivered Midian and all the host. And it was so, when Gideon heard the telling of the dream and the interpretation thereof, that he worshipped and returned into the host of Israel, and said, arise, for the Most High has delivered into your hand the host of Midian. And he divided the 300 men into 3 companies, and he put a trumpet in every man's hand, with empty pitchers and lamps within the pitchers. And he said unto them, look on me, and do likewise. And behold, when I come to outside of the camp, it should be that as I do, so shall ye do. When I blow the trumpet, I and all that are with me, then blow ye the trumpets also on every side of the camp, and say, the sword of the Most High and of Gideon. So Gideon and the 300 men that were with him came into the outside of the camp in the beginning of the middle watch. And they had but newly set the watch, and they blew the trumpets and brake the pitchers that were in their hands. And the 3 companies blew the trumpets and brake the pitchers, and held the lamps in their left hand, and the trumpets in their right hands to blow withal. And they cried, the sword of the Most High and of Gideon. And they stood every man in his place, round about the camp. And all the hosts ran and cried and fled. And the 300 blew the trumpets, and the Most High set every man's sword against his fellow, even throughout all the hosts. And the host fled to Beth Shittah and Zeroth, and to the border of Abel Elah and Tabath. And the men of Israel gathered themselves together out of Naphtali, and out of Asher, and out of all Manasseh, and pursued after the Midianites. And Gideon sent messengers throughout all Mount Ephraim, saying, come down against the Midianites, and take before them the waters unto Beth Barah in Jordan. Then all the men of Ephraim gathered themselves together and took the waters of Beth Barah in Jordan. And they took 2 princes of the Midianites, Oreb and Zeeb. And they slew Oreb upon the rock Oreb. And Zeeb they slew at the winepress of Zeeb. And pursued Midian and brought the heads of Zoreb, of Oreb, and Zeeb to Gideon on the other side of Jordan.
Right. So Gideon and the 300 men organized themselves into three different companies strategically. I mean, and then pursued the Midianites and slew the kings and delivered Israel from the captivity that they were in under the Midianites. Okay? So that's another captivity that Israel ended. And I've got let's go to Judges chapter 10 now to see. See what happened after that. Because history keeps repeating itself, as we can see.
The book of Judges, chapter 10, verse 1.
Chapter verse 6.
Verse 6.
Yeah, can I speed it up a little bit?
And the children of Israel did evil again in the sight of the Most High, and served Baalim and Ashtaroth and the gods of Syria, and the gods of Zidon, and the gods of Moab, and the gods of the children of Ammon, and the gods of the Philistines, and forsook the Most High and served not him. And the anger of the Most High was hot against Israel, and he sold them into the hands of the Philistines, and into the hands of the children of Ammon. In that year they vexed and oppressed the children of Israel 18 years. And all the children of Israel that were on the other side of Jordan, in the land of the Amorites, which is in Gilead, moreover the children of Ammon passed over Jordan to fight also against Judah.
Right, so you see, so these the Ammonites. The Ammonites oppressed the children of Israel 18 years. Most High delivered us into the hands of the Ammonites for 18 years, it says in verse 8. In that year, they vexed and oppressed the children of Israel 18 years. All the children of Israel that were on the other side of Jordan, the land of Amorites, which is here. Read on.
Moreover, the children of Ammon passed over Jordan to fight also against Judah and against Benjamin.
Remember that there were certain of us who were on the one side of Jordan. Understand? We were going to the homeland because the southern part of Jordan was so fertile. The eastern part of Jordan was so fertile. So you have I think Manasseh, Reuben and Gad over there because there are a lot of cattle and all that. And the land was very suitable for cattle rearing. So they told Moses that if you will give us this portion of the land, we're gonna leave our children here, and we leave our cattle here, and we're gonna get our men together and join the rest of our brothers to fight against the Canaanites, the other part of Israel. That was the understanding that was the agreement that Reuben, Gad, and Manasseh had with Moses and the Israelites, that they would give them a certain amount of land and the eastern part of east of Jordan, and then they would cross over and then fight the Canaanites on the other side of Jordan. So we can see that Israel was on both sides of River Jordan. So these Ammonites now was just put us in captivity on the one side of Jordan. Now they crossed over on the other side, like the southern part of the country. You have Judah and Benjamin. Right?
Moreover, the children of Ammon passed over Jordan to fight also against Judah and against Benjamin and against the house of Ephraim, so that Israel was sore distressed. And the children of Israel cried unto the Most High, saying, We have sinned against thee, both because we have forsaken our power and also served Baalim.
I don't know. They keep doing this, don't they? I mean, there's so many times it happened. That's why the Most High is correct, man. Israel is stiff-necked, hard-headed, and rebellious. They know what happened in the past. It's not the first time. They know what happened in the past. Whenever we disobey the Most High, we will send these nations about. But we can never be satisfied. We can never be appreciative of the Most High. We want to lean on our own understanding, misunderstanding, as it were. Not be grateful, not being thankful for what the Most High gave us. So we always go back to serving other. It's one thing. It's one thing to say the degree of wickedness that our people were on. Man. I mean, it's amazing. It's one thing to say, hey, say you neglect the Most High, but why? But to go about serving the gods of the other nations, when you know that those gods are no gods anyway. Understand? You know those gods are no gods anyway. But as soon as you're in captivity, you want to cry unto the Most High. You know the Most High is the only power. So why are you serving the other gods to begin with? That's the mentality and the mindset of what people are on. Understand? Because that's what the scripture says, man. The righteous is we are more righteous. Get it. Proverbs 12:26. Yeah, the righteous is more excellent than his neighbor. We're more excellent than our neighbor. But there's something that our neighbor has that will cause us to give up our righteousness. Consciously, we know we're doing wicked, but it's something they have that is so enticing and is so pleasing to us that we give up our righteousness and a connection to the Most High just to conform to their ways because of a certain pleasure or acceptance that we get from doing that from them. And that's what people used to be doing back in the days. And we do the same thing today in this time. A lot of our people, the scripture said that we made a covenant with death. Got rid of that.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 12, verse 26. The righteous is more excellent than his neighbor, but the way of the wicked seduceth them.
See, righteous is more excellent than his neighbor. We're more excellent than our neighbor. We got the oracle. We got the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. We got a relationship with the Most High, chosen by the Most High. But the ways of the wicked seduces us. The glitz and the glamour, the fame, the promise of fortune, all that. Because we don't see the immediate reward in serving the Most High, and temptations by the heathens. And the wicked run about us, lead us to forsake the Most High and follow the ways of the other nations, which is what our forefathers were doing back then. Go back to Judges.
The book of Judges, chapter 10, verse 11. And the Most High said unto the children of Israel, did not I deliver you from the Egyptians, and from the Amorites, and from the children of Ammon, and from the Philistines, the Zidonians also, and the Amalekites, and the Ammonites, did oppress you, and you cried to me, and delivered you out of their hand. Yet ye have forsaken me, and served other powers. Wherefore I will deliver you no more. Go and cry to the gods which ye have chosen. Let them deliver you in the time of your tribulation.
Yeah, the Most High was fed up at this point, man. Did not I deliver you from the Egyptians? And these other nations? The Most High keep adding on a nation after nation, because every time the Israelites would cry unto him, the Most High said, remind them of what he did. I delivered you from the Egyptians, and the Amalekites, the Moabites, and the Ammonites, the Moabites, all these different nations. And as soon as I did that, what do? You pursued me and went and served those guys. Moses said, you know what? I'm sick and tired of you guys. Go cry to those gods that you're serving. Let them deliver you out of these captivities. Read.
And the children of Israel said unto the Most High, we have sinned. Do thou unto us whatever seemeth good unto thee. Deliver us only, we pray thee this day. And they put away the strange gods from among them, and served the Most High. And his soul was grieved, for the misery of Israel. Then the children of Ammon were gathered together and encamped in Gilead. And the children of Israel assembled themselves together and encamped in Mizpah. And the people and the princes of Gilead said one to another, what man is he that will begin to fight against the children of Ammon? He shall be head over all the inhabitants of Gilead. The book of Judges, chapter 11, verse 1. Now Jephthah the Gilead was a mighty man of valor, and he was the son of a harlot. And Gilead begat Jephthah, and Gilead's wife bare him sons. And his wife's sons grew up, and they thrust out Jephthah, and said unto him, thou shalt not inherit in our father's house, for thou art the son of a strange woman. Then Jephthah fled from his brethren, and dwelt in the land of Tob. And there were gathered vain men to Jephthah, and went out with him. And it came to pass in the process.
Right. So when Jephthah was he had siblings that was born of different mothers, and I guess his mother was the concubine. The other wives were perfect above his mother. So they're the sons and daughters. They didn't show Jephthah the kind of love that they showed the rest of their siblings, so they kind of ran him away. We're not going to share our inheritance with you. So they basically drove Jephthah away. But the Most High put a spirit in Jephthah. He was a warrior, a mighty warrior, and he turned out that they were the ones. The ones that Israel had to turn to deliver them from out of the hands of these heathens, Ammonites. So let's just jump down to verse 29.
The book of Judges, chapter 11, verse 29. Then the Spirit of the Most High came upon Jephthah, and he passed over Gilead. And Manasseh and passed over Mizpah of Gilead. And from Mizpah of Gilead he passed over unto the children of Ammon. And Jephthah vowed a vow to the Most High, and said, if thou shalt without fail deliver the children of Ammon into my hands, then it shall be that whatsoever cometh forth out of the doors of my house to meet me, when I return in peace from the children of Ammon, shall surely be the outer ones. And I will offer it up for a burnt offering. So Jephthah passed over to the children of Ammon to fight against them, and the Most High delivered them into his hand. And he smote them from Aurora, even to the come to Minnith, even 20 cities, unto the plain of the vineyards, with a very great slaughter. Thus the children of Ammon were subdued before the children of Israel.
Right. So the Most High raised up Jephthah, put a spirit in Jephthah. Jephthah made a covenant with the Most High, which gosh, you wish you could take that back if you could read the rest of the story. If you're not familiar with the story, I said, pray to the Most High. He said, made a vow to the Most High, if you will deliver me, if you will deliver these Ammonites into my hand, the first thing that comes out of my house is going to be a sacrifice unto you. It turned out to be his only child, his only child, a daughter. And he made a vow to the Most High, had to keep his word. So so far he had to sacrifice a daughter to the Most High. So that's why the Most High saying, hey, if the yea be yea and nay be nay, don't make a vow that you're not really sure what you're vowing to the Most High. Understand? So he had to give his daughter. He had to sacrifice his daughter. The Most High delivered the Ammonites into his hand, and he had to keep his word and sacrifice his daughter. But we're not going to go into that. Just into the captivity. Now let's jump down to Judges chapter 13. Chapter 13, verse 1.
The book of Judges, chapter 13, verse 1. And the children of Israel did evil again in the sight of the Most High. And the Most High delivered them into the hand of the Philistines 40 years.
See that the Israelites did evil again in the eyes of the Most High. The Most High delivered delivered us in the hands of the Philistines for 40 years. 40 years of Philistines, the Philistines. These are the same Philistines that David was warring with. It's the same guy, descendants of Goliath's people. And I'm saying, these guys are history. You remember what David did to Goliath? Remember that Philistines, David slaughtered. I mean, tell you so. They were carrying a grudge. So the Most High raised them up to oppress Israel for 40 years. Right?
And there was a certain man of Zorah, of the family of the Danites, whose name was Manoah, and his wife was barren, and bare not. And the angel of the Most High appeared unto the woman, and said unto her, Behold now, thou art barren and bearest not, but thou shalt conceive and bear a son. Now therefore beware, I pray thee, and drink not wine nor strong drink, and eat not any unclean thing. For lo, thou shalt conceive and bear a son, and no razor shall come upon his head. For the child shall be a Nazarite unto the Most High from the womb, and he shall begin to deliver Israel out of the hands of the Philistines.
Yeah, we all know if you read the rest of this, we all know this is talking about Samson. Understand? Talking about Samson. Right? So the angel of the Most High appeared unto Samson's mother, told him that you're going to conceive. You're going to conceive, and your son is going to be a Nazarite. Your son is going to be a Nazarite from birth. So don't drink any wine and strong drink and anything of that sort. And he's going to be a Nazarite from birth. Yeah, I'm raising him up, especially to be as a Nazarite to deliver Israel from these Philistines. So we know the history of that. Samson, basically he played a role, the same role basically that Gideon played. Gideon, with the Most High, had sent 300 men to join Gideon's army to deliver them from the Midianites. It seems now he's raising up Samson and few men around him who got inspired by him to take on the Philistines. We all know the history of Samson. Who delivered Israel out of the Philistines. We know the history of him going down into the city of the Philistines, see this woman, Delilah. All the mind games and the tricks that Delilah, or she tested him, that to get his strength and all that, until Samson finally succumbed to her. But as you know, Israel disobeyed the Most High, sent the Philistines to rule over us for 40 years? 40 years. Then they had Samson, rose up Samson, the Nazarite from birth. Who else did the Most High raise up as a Nazarite from birth? Nazarite. A strong drink. Who was the Most High as a Nazarite? Was John the Baptist. If I'm not mistaken. I'll go better another time. So the Most High sent his angel unto the Samson's mother and told him, hey, your son is going to be a Nazarite. So drink not wine nor strong drink, eat nothing and anything unclean. So the Most High raised him up to deliver Israel. So let's see, go to chapter 15. verse 14.
The book of Judges, chapter 15, verse 14. And when he came unto Lehi, the Philistines shouted against him. And the Spirit of the Most High came mightily upon him. And the cords that were upon his arms became as flax that was burnt with fire. And his bands loosed from off his hands. And he found a new jawbone of a donkey, and put forth his hand and took it, and slew 1,000 men therewith. And Samson said, with the jawbone of a donkey, heaps upon heaps, with the jaw of a donkey have I slain 1,000 men. And it came to pass, when he had made an end of speaking, that he cast away the jawbone out of his hand, and called that place Ramath Lehi. And he was so sore athirst, and called on the Most High, and said, Thou hast given me this great deliverance into the hand of thy servant. And now shall I die for thirst, and fall into the hand of the uncircumcised? But the Most High clave an hollow place that was in the jaw, and there came water thereout. And when he had drunk, his spirit came again, and he revived. Wherefore he called the name thereof En Achor, which is in Lehi, unto this day. And he judged Israel in the days of the Philistines 20 years.
So for 20 years, Samson, judged Israel and delivered us out of the hand of the Philistines. Yeah. Read on, we know the history of a guy that eventually got betrayed by Delilah. Okay, so like we said, 357 years Israel were judges running over them. Now let's go. We know Solomon died 933 BC, and Israel at peace. Israel at peace for a long time. Israel at when in 14 what was it? I'm sorry, and in 1013, that's when we first had kings. 1013 BC. That's when Saul started ruling. 1013 BC, then Saul started ruling. Okay, so 40 years to David, 40 years, Solomon 40 years, 120 years. So right there, 120 years we had great peace. We had peace. Israel was feared by all the nations round about us. Understand? We had all those nations paying tribute to Israel. 120 years. Then after that, when the kingdom was destroyed, when this kingdom was split, 923 BC, Solomon's death, with the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. The only thing we had during a period of time was basically internal conflicts. We had civil wars, tribal warfare, and all that. We had a lot of assassinations and all that, especially in the northern kingdom. Understand where a lot of betrayal, a lot of usurping of authority, and we had kingdoms assassinating each other and ruling and all that to gain rulership. No. All thus far, all we've been talking about, we never had kings. All we've been talking about during that time, what I've been talking about so far, we are judges. This is the era of the judges. Understand? This is before the kings. Understand? This is before the king. This is before the kings. 1410, coming up to 1013, 357 years. 357 years of judges. We had judges. Understand? And then we had king in 1013. So we had king in 1013. So now, when we had kings, we had the three kings that ruled for 40 years each, right? Saul, David, and Solomon. Right there, that's 120 years. Understand? And Solomon died in 933 BC. Understand? And the next captivity we had was 722 BC. So if you subtract 933, if you subtract 923, if you subtract 722 from 933, that's what? That's 211. That's 211. If you had 211 to 120, so basically we had a long stretch of a time. I'm not saying that we were righteous. Understand? Not saying that we were righteous. We had a long stretch of time where basically we were self-ruled. We were self-ruled. We had internal conflicts. Understand? We had internal conflicts, even tribal wars. Yeah, exactly. They got them Ephraimites. They was mad that that's a warrior spirit that our people had on them. The Ephraimites, they were mad that Gideon didn't call them to go fight against the Midianites. Gideon only had, Moses told Gideon to only get these 300 men, but Ephraim wanted to go down too. Ephraim said, we're going to burn your house, man. We're going to burn your house down. He said, well, what do you mean to get here? I mean, we're going to burn your house. Why didn't you call us to go fight against the Midianites? I'm saying, yeah, but hey, Gideon said, hey, the Most High gave a commandment to bring these 300 men. That wasn't acceptable to the Ephraimites. It was mad as elements. They raised war against Gideon. So we had a long period of time, basically 330 years, where Israel was self-ruled. The only conflict we had was internal conflicts. Understand? Now we know that. So the next captivity was 722 BC. What captivity was that? Can anyone recall? Right. That was 722 BC. Understand? And that was the northern kingdom that was taken down by the Assyrians. Right. That just get let's get 2 Kings 15. Hold on, let me 727.
The book of 2 Kings, chapter 15, verse 27. In the 15th year of Azariah, king of Judah, Pekah, the son of Remaliah, began to reign over Israel and Samaria. It reigned 20 years.
Right. So we talk. It's referencing the timeline of Judah's rulership, but it's talking about the rulership actually of the northern kingdom. Okay, where it says in the 250th year of Azariah, king of Judah, Pekah, the son of Ramaliah, began to reign over Israel in Samaria and reigned 20 years. Read. So, we should know Samaria is another kingdom. That's basically the capital city, or the main city of the northern kingdom, where Ephraim was on the main ruling tribe. Read.
And he did that which was departed not from the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin.
Right. It was Jeroboam. Remember Jeroboam? Right. The first king of the northern kingdom. He was the one who built the calf. I mean, they made the calf in the northern kingdom and passed a commandment, like an executive order forbidding the Israelites in the northern kingdom to go to Jerusalem to worship. He said, this is your temple right there. This is your God. So and they basically start right, took they run out the Levites. He didn't want to Levite, and they made they run the basement of many of other tribes to be the priests. Right, right. So that was a deliberate intent right there to throw the people off, because of course basement are people you could the lowest status are people you could basically persuade to do whatever he wants him to do. I mean, they were basically yes men. These basemen were yes men. Understand? And this is what I wanted to tell the people. Of course, they misled the people and have been following on the ways of Jeroboam on the project of these gods, these idols. Right?
Verse 29. In the days of Pekah, king of Israel, came Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, and took Ijon, and Abel, Beth Makkah, and Janah, and Kadesh, and Hazar, and Gilead, and Galilee, all the land of Naphtali, and carried them captive to Assyria.
Right. I guess 2 Kings chapter 17. Oh. Hold on. 2 Kings 17. I think I want to start over. All right, Psalm 20.
Book of 2 Kings, chapter 17, verse 20. And the Most High rejected all the seed of Israel, and afflicted them, and delivered them into the hand of the spoilers, until he had cast them out of his sight. For he rent Israel from the house of David, and made Jeroboam the son of Nebat king. And Jeroboam drove Israel from following the Most High, and made them sin a great sin. For the children of Israel walked in all the sins of Jeroboam, which he did, and departed not from them. And so the Most High removed Israel out of his sight, as he had said by all his servants the prophets. So was Israel carried away out of their own land to Assyria unto this day.
Right. So, because the Israelites from the northern kingdom followed the sins of Jeroboam and forsook the Most High had the Assyrians removed the Israelites from the northern kingdom into the Assyrian empire to serve the Assyrians. Okay. So we know the history in that we were there from 722 BC, and we are after that we know the Assyrians, then the Babylonians took the northern kingdom. Basically from 606 BC to 586. Destroyed the temple in 586 BC, and then we will get Jeremiah 25:9 and 4. Jeremiah 20:25. Actually get Jeremiah 29 verse 10.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 29, verse 10. For thus saith the Most High, that after 70 years be accomplished at Babylon, I will visit you and perform my good word toward you, and causing you to return to this place. For I know the thoughts that I think toward you, said the Most High, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end.
Right. So the Most High told Israel, this is now the southern kingdom. The Babylonians now was taking down the southern kingdom. Israel is going into captivity from about 606 BC. Understand? We're going to be there for 70 years. We just read that 70 years. So approximately. So we were there to 538 BC. Understand? That's when all the 12 tribes were released by the Persian and Medes. Understand? Because rulership keep changing hands. You have the Assyrians and the Babylonians. Babylonians took over from the Syrians, and then the Persian and Medes took over from the Babylonians. Then what? In Arab, then the Greeks. After the get Ezra, book of Ezra, chapter 1. Ezra chapter 1, verse 1. No, in the Bible.
The book of Ezra, chapter 1, verse 1. Now in the first year of Cyrus, king of Persia, that the word of the Most High by the mouth of Jeremiah might be fulfilled.
Right, see that? The word of the Most High by the mouth of Jeremiah be fulfilled. We just read the prophecy that the Most High made to Jeremiah. Right now, Jeremiah 29, verse 10. Read.
The Most High stirred up the spirit of Cyrus, king of Persia, that he made a proclamation throughout all his kingdom, and put also in writing, saying, Thus says Cyrus, king of Persia, the Most High power of heaven hath given me all the kingdoms of the earth, and he hath charged me to build him a house at Jerusalem, which is in Judah.
Right, so Cyrus is acknowledging that it was the Most High who gave him rulership, and the Most High told him to have this temple built in Judah. Understand? The Most High is going to have him rule, but the Most High is going to have him rule in such a way as to live with the Most High's people, which is Israel, so they can go back to Jerusalem and build the temple. Read on.
Who is there among you of all this people? His power be with him, and let him go up to Jerusalem, which is in Judah.
Right, so this is to fulfill the prophecy that the Most High made with Jeremiah. After 70 years, which is now 538 BC. Understand? So, 538 BC, all the 12 tribes were released from the Persian and Medes captivity. And we know in the Apocrypha, all the 10 tribes, the northern kingdom basically, except the remnants who left, who decided to stay back there anyway. But majority of them came over this side of the world. Understand? And the southern kingdom went back to Jerusalem, to Judea, to build a temple and rehabilitate the land. Understand? And what happened after that? Then the Greeks came to rulership. Now get the Apocrypha. Now get the Apocrypha. First Maccabees chapter 1, starting from verse 1. So this era of time now we're talking about is what? 333 BC. That's when Alexander the Greek came into rulership. Understand? And he was the one that took down the Persian and Medes.
The book?
And of course, since the Persian and Medes were ruling over us, that means we were still in captivity under a different slave master now, the Greeks, which are the Edomites, which are this so-called society today, which a lot of people refer to it as what? The Greco-Roman society. Understand? Because they have incorporated a lot of the customs of the Greeks, the Romans from back then, into modern day society. Understand? Because they're the same people anyway. Okay, so now let's get First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 1.
The book of First Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 1. And it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Shittim, had smitten Darius, king of Persia, and Medes, and he reigned in his stead, the first over Greece, and made many wars, and won many strongholds, and slew the kings of the earth, and went to the ends of the earth, and took spoils of many nations, and so much that the earth was quiet before him. Whereupon he was exalted, and his heart was lifted up. And he gathered a mighty strong host, and ruled over countries and nations. And kings who became tributaries unto him. And after these things he fell sick, and perceived that he should die. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable, and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them, while he was yet alive. So Alexander reigned 12 years, and then died. And his servants bare rule every one in his place. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them. Many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. And there came out of them a wicked rule, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes.
Right, so we're talking about now the rulership of Alexander the Greek. Started when he ruled for 12 years. Yeah, the earth was quiet before him. Everyone was afraid of him. He was so dominant. And he died after ruling for 12 years, and his kingdom was parted among his four top generals, who each got a certain part of their the territory or empire that Alexander the Greek had captured and made his home. And they all put crowns of kings upon their heads, and made themselves kings of different parts of their original large empire. And out of that four kings became a wicked rule, Antiochus Epiphanes. He was the one who made this proclamation to have all the nations within his realm abandon their customs, including Israel, abandon the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, and follow the king's decree. That's when we read about that before. That's when we became Hellenized, so to speak. Hellenized, following the customs of the Greeks. That's when our people started taking on the nationality, the heritage. That means of the Greeks up until the time of the Romans. Or people will call themselves by the ethnicity of the different regions where they grew up, where they were born and grew up, even though they were actually of Israelite lineage. Yeah, go ahead. Right, right. And to the point that our people call themselves Greeks. Right, 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 right. And our people started even call themselves Greek. Because even Paul spoke Greek. To the point even because Paul was a scholar. Understand? Go ahead, Shamiala. Well, and this the fraternity basically that's the fraternity in this colleges there, that's where that it's not as severe as back then, because in the colleges it's like it's a voluntary thing. It's a voluntary thing with the join these fraternities, I guess, like try to form a different bond. They're trying to bond with with a clique, a cult, a college cult. You know what I mean? Yeah, but even though they retain they retain their nationality, so to speak. They still call themselves African American, which is off anyway. But of course, they think they are attaining a higher level of learning when they learn other nations way of life, thinking that that's superior to them, to theirs. Go ahead, sister. Mhm. Right, right, right. It's like establishing a pedigree right there, right? Getting contact, links and connect, and you know what I mean. So you're from the brotherhood or sisterhood, so you know when they are, you know what I mean. That's why when the members reach a position of prominence, of course, you know you can yeah you can hey, yeah, I'm one of you. You know what I mean? And they look good for each other like that. Right, right. I mean, the Mason, the skulls and bones up in George Bush and the Bush family and all that. All them guys are all these major politicians. At the different universities of the different fraternities. I mean, that they belong to. You know what I'm saying, and when they reach with their like sworn secrecy, you have different levels of it. You know, I mean, they have different levels of this thing, the masonry and all that that they go through. I mean, and these guys, this is way that the secret society, a lot of these are those different aspects of the secret society, where um, even what people trying to be a part of. Guys, right, right, uh, right, 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 right. So basically, he said it's a way of preserving ourselves. I guess we were used by the slave master against our own people, for you know what I mean, for certain benefits. You know what I mean? So all those things happen. So yeah, even a lot of cases back then when when um when we'd have runaway slaves, so I mean when we escaped, who would they send to get us? A lot of the catchers were Jakes. A lot of the catchers were that they sent to get us was our own people. And of course, you know, some of us, I mean, positions and gifts and all that, if they would bring, I mean, just oh, okay, okay, oh, 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 I don't know, but I'm pretty sure those the members, right? In the Masons, right? pretty sure it's some evil, definitely some evil. I don't know, some got to do something to do with paying homage to Satan or something. To what extent the evil, what aspect of evil it is, that I don't know, but I'm very sure it's got something to do with Satan worshiping and all that. And maybe I know it's in the prayers. I don't know, maybe it's in the prayers to Satan or something that they didn't want anyone to hear. That's something of that sort. Obviously, the fact that they had even his family members leave, that mean it's secret, top secret right there. It's like remember down the head. They were maybe asking Satan to accept it as a sacrifice or something like something. It's a wickedness right there. Yeah, so just like we read yeah, right there. So the Greeks are Antiochus Epiphanes, which ruler of certain parts of the Greek Empire. He was the one started the Hellenistic period where forced people to conform to the ways of the Greeks. And of course, you know the history of the Maccabees, the Hasmoneans, you know Mattathias, and the father, the father of the Hasmoneans, and his sons after him. He was the one who set it off on rebel against Greeks which started like 167 BC. I guess like for years until where you know where they cleansed the temple, rededicated it back to the Most High. That's where we got Hanukkah from, which we celebrated a month or so ago. Yeah, so that's where that started. And we had wars against the Greeks, and where with the temple dedicated back to the Most High, and then we had some internal conflicts after that. But but for the most part, Israel ruled for a little while. We were self-governed for a little while, from like 134 BC to like 66 BC, when the Romans came in after that. We had a rulership for a little while, little under 100 years. We ruled ourselves, the Southern Kingdom ruled ourselves. Understand? And but then the Romans came in. Romans came in due to internal conflicts, which we had gone over that in a previous class, where internal conflicts we had, where they one of the one of the persons vying for rulership in Israel sought the help of the Romans and helped them say, yeah, I helped you, but hey, I'm gonna be ruling now. Understand? I'm gonna put you in basically as a puppet, but I'm gonna be ruling now. Understand? You just there representing me, and that's all the Romans needed. And they came in, and then they sent in Herod and all that, and then Herod, and you know what I mean, from that point on, then he started having hell with with the Romans. You understand? And of course, we know the history where the Romans ruled us from the spirit from 66 BC to like 193 AD. You understand? We destroyed the temple. We had they destroyed the temple in 70 AD. Then we had other uprising against the Romans till they finally destroyed us, sold us into captivity. And in the process of time, went over that previous class where Septimius Severus, 193 AD, rose up. And then from that point on, 193 AD to like 1453 AD, Israel was ruling over Europe. Period, what they call the Dark Ages, because the Dark Nations are ruling. You know what I'm saying? So we ruled from that time. Then we had the Renaissance. Then of course with the Arabs and the so-called Africans. They ruled us for like 100 years in West Africa, like 1500 to 1600. That, you know, what I mean, that's where they were the ones running us up in the west coast of Africa, having us shipped over here and the ships above. So-called Jews were the ones on the ships. They were the owners of these ships. I mean, like the so-called Jews, they were the ones who financed the whole thing. They were the ones who financed the whole thing. They were the ones who owned these ships. Owned the ships coming to the West, going to the so-called West Indies, the Americas, South America, North America, and all that. And I said they took the Hamites and Ishmael, the so-called Arabs. You know, they were the ones who rounded us up, you know, from the west coast of Africa. And sold us to the Edomites. We brought here in captivity. But of course, we're going to have our day. We're going to have our day. So we're going to top it off with that. We're going to have while we're in Jeremiah, so what chapter 1 of Jeremiah? Chapter 30. Jeremiah, let's see what Jeremiah 30. Let's top it off with that. Start at verse 16. Then we're going to go to Isaiah 14. Jeremiah 30, verse 16.
The book of Jeremiah.
That's how great the Most High. That's why we say the Most High's mercy endured forever. Understand? Even though we're wicked in hell, we're wicked as hell. I'm saying we're going to go to Isaiah 14 also to show Most High will yet have mercy in Jacob. Even though we did all these wicked and atrocious things by disobeying him and following the ways of the other nations. But Jeremiah 30, verse 16.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 30, verse 16. Therefore all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thy adversaries, every one of them, shall go into captivity. And they that spoil thee shall be spoiled, and all they that prey upon thee will I give thee for prey. For I will restore health unto thee, and I will heal thee of thy wounds, saith the Most High. Because I called thee an outcast, saying, This is Zion, whom no man seeketh after. Thus saith the Most High, Behold, I will bring again the captivity of Jacob's tents, and I will have mercy on his dwellings places. And the city shall be builded upon her heap, or her own heap, and the palace shall remain after the manner thereof. And out of them shall proceed thanksgiving, and the voice of them that make merry. And I will multiply them, and they shall not be few, and I will glorify them, and they shall not be small. Their children also shall be as aforetime, and their congregation shall be established before me, and I will punish all that oppress them, and their nobles shall be of themselves.
Right, see that? The Most High is going to have mercy. Get Isaiah 14 and 1 now. So I'm tapping it off. Isaiah 14 and 1. The Most High is all our adversaries, understand, shall go into captivity. All of them.
Book of Isaiah, chapter 14, verse 1. For the Most High will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land.
But the Most High will have mercy on Jacob. The Most High is going to have mercy on us. Look at all those things we did to the Most High. How many times we tested the Most High? How many times he delivered us? And after delivering us, we forsook him again and again and again, and followed the ways of the other nations and the gods of the other nations, which we know we're not gods anyway, but because we want to be down, that's because that's Israel. We want to be down with the other nations. Just like when the Most High gave us judges, we didn't want the judges. We wanted to be like the other nations. When the Most High said, you are special, you're different, you're special. Not just different, but special. You have a connection with me. And the nations were envious of us and wanted to be in our place, but we didn't appreciate where we were with the Most High. We wanted to be like them. When they would give anything to trade places with us. But even Cyrus himself acknowledged that, hey, it's the Most High who gave me rulership, the God of Israel, the power of Israel. But Israel didn't want it.
And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob.
And the strangers which are the other nations shall join with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. They're going to cleave to us. Read.
And the people shall take them and bring them to their place.
And the people, the Israelites, shall take them, the strangers, the nations, the heathens, and take them to our place. Read. But we'll take them to our place, but not to rule with us. Read.
And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Most High.
And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Most High. When you possess people, what is that? What does it mean? You own somebody. They're slaves. So that our adversaries shall now be what? Our captivity. Read.
And they shall take them captives, and shall possess them in the land of the Most High for servants and handmaids.
Possess them in the land of the Most High for servants and handmaids. So even though, so when I read like in Obadiah, when it says the remnant of Edom and the heathens, it means the one who survived Armageddon, who weren't slaughtered. The remnant who called by the Most High's name. It says, that's why they got confused when it says called by the Most High's name. It simply means that, hey, they're the ones who survived. Well, they're going to be our captives. They're going to be our possessions. That's per the scripture. Read.
And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors.
That's it right there. They shall rule over their oppressors. And with that, we're going to say shalom to Yasharala. Shalom to all out there watching and listening to the live stream online. Whatever. We have going to class tomorrow at 12 noon. Sabbath service of 12 noon. Make sure you tune in again. Shalom Yashara. Shalom Yasharala.